Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another rousing episode of Urban Politics. This is politics from an urban point of view. I hope you like the new look, trying to step up the tech for you. You know how we get down, always donkeys kicking the hell out of elephants. So, actually, though, I would label myself as an independent these days. But a friend of mine had told me years ago when I was a card carrying Democrat, said the longer you watch politics and become a purveyor of politics, the more and more you'll become an independent. So I would probably bill myself as an independent these days. But hope you like the new look. And, we're going to jump right into it like a car and drive and talk about your boy and mine, our president, Mr. Donald J. Trump. DJT. This guy is on that emergency declaration thing. If he makes the situation at the border, if he puts the emergency declaration on that, that'll mean that he'll be able to pull down all these funds to get that wall built. They said the wall is going to be at least 5.7, 5.8 billion dollars. You watch the news, you see how it went down between Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and how they played him and got him to play himself and take ownership of the shutdown, which was the craziest thing ever. And then his numbers went down. Crazy enough though, I looked not too long ago. I think Trump now is at a 40-some%. A while ago he was at 50 and some change percent, which made me just want to smack the taste out of America's mouth. How is this president at 50% favorability, or was at 50% favorability? But I think that's went down. I try to check the Gallup poll every day. I haven't checked it today. But he might still be in the mid-40s, which actually isn't bad for a president. I think, of course, his favorability should be way worse than that. But it is what it is. The emergency declaration, there's a lot of Republicans that don't like that. They see it as a power grab. It was kind of the same stuff that they got mad at Obama for. When he was, they used to call him the deporter in chief. A lot of people don't know that. He did a lot of deporting at the border, but he didn't necessarily publicize it, and he did it a lot better than Trump. He did it in a lot more of a humane way. So, the way that Trump is doing it, it was done that way, but he's kind of doing it in a kind of mean way, being real graphic about the way he's separating, kids from the parents. And even though they're trying to say that, oh, it's just a law, we're just adhering to the law, we don't want to separate kids from parents. Nah, they've went on record as saying the reason they did that was to deter people from coming to the borders and seeking asylum or seeking anything else. So there's that. If he gets that off, it'll be, you seen him singing that little song where he said, yeah, we'll do the emergency declaration, and then it'll get shot down, and then we'll go to another court, and that court might shoot it down, then it'll go to the Supreme Court, and then we'll win in the Supreme Court, and yada yada. There's a guy who knows the law, because Trump likes to sue people, he likes to go to court, so he knows how the law works, and he's 100% correct. That's probably what will happen here. It'll go to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court will rule in his favor, boom, he's got an emergency declared at the border, he can pull down all those funds. I've been thinking about that, though, and believe it or not, that might not be a horrible thing. Walk with me on this. The reason some of those Republicans don't want him to do it is because, say the next president that we get is a Democrat, and it probably will be, because if you notice, that's the way America likes to go in cycles. A Republican president, then a Democratic president, then a Republican president, then a Democratic president. So we'll probably get a Democratic president next time. That president could use an emergency declaration for gun control. They could also use it for things like climate change. If emergency declaration could bring about some action on those two things, I don't think it'd be a bad idea, actually. I don't think it'd be a bad thing at all. So if Trump gets this off at the border, the next president will probably want to try and get it off as far as gun control goes and as far as climate change goes. And those are two issues that I think are so huge, so paramount in this country, that if an emergency declaration gets some action done on them, it'd be worth it. It'd be a good thing. So go ahead and let Trump have his money for the wall. A lot of people are like, man, it's a lot of money the country ain't got to be wasting. We waste money on all types of things around here. So that'd just be more billions wasted. I don't think it's a good thing either. But if him doing that allows a Democratic president to put that emergency declaration where it might could do some good as far as gun control or climate change, let it happen, man. Let the baby have his bottle. Moving on, I'm gonna leave that right there. Let's move on to the president's what used to be his right-hand man. The self-proclaimed fixer for Mr. Trump, Michael Cohen. I know you saw that testimony. It was gut-wrenching. It was something to see. Did we learn anything new? No. What did we learn? Trump's a racist. You already knew that. He's a horrible businessman. You already knew that. He paid off Stormy Daniels and this other lady who are both porn stars, I think, or we at least know Stormy Daniels is a porn star, and he paid her off with campaign money. You already knew that. And if you didn't know that, you're not paying attention, or you're a trumpeter and you're just turning a blind eye to it. So none of that was new information. It was interesting, though, how the Republicans, on the panel who were asking him questions, none of them wanted to even come to the president's defense because he's indefensible. They can't come to his defense. But if you notice, none of them even tried. All they wanted to do was sit up there and talk for, I think, 7 hours about how Michael Cohen, oh, he's a liar. He's a liar. He's going to jail for lying to Congress. Well, we already knew that, so how was that news? And y'all want to sit there and talk about how he's a liar? The one congressman took the time to go get that big billboard with his face on it printed, and it said, liar, liar, pants on fire. What are these guys in third grade? It's a shame that these are people who have been, elected by hopefully thoughtful citizens with brains in their heads, sent to Washington to do some good, and that's the crap y'all come up with to come at this man with, his picture on a piece of paper talking about liar, liar, pants on fire. Whatever. It was interesting, though, how he told them at the end. He said, look, what you all are doing now, protecting Mr. Trump, I did it for 10 years. He said, and you're going to have the same outcome that I'm having. I'm here to tell you, Mr. Cohen, it's going to be worse for them because, a lot of them don't understand that this stuff doesn't go anywhere. That whole travesty, that whole circus that you were involved in, that they were involved in, it doesn't go anywhere. It lives on the internet forever. So, Mr. Trump, he'll be out of office, living his life. These guys, some of them are still going to have their jobs, and they've lost tons of credibility defending a madman. So there's that. I mean, I hope they were listening to him, and some of them, I don't know, wake up and get a heart overnight or something and say, yeah, we got to stop doing this. We got to hold Trump accountable for some of this madness. But I doubt it, because a lot of them are fine to have an idiot and a madman running the country because it's a rubber stamp. They know that Trump will rubber stamp anything they bring in there. And they also know that he's not going to read it. So think about that. The Republican Party loves to pass things in the dead of night when no one's paying attention because they know their policies are unpopular. But now we got a guy who's not going to read it, who's not going to go over it. You come in his office, tell him it's good, tell him that people will love him for it because they know he loves accolades. Boom, he rubber stamps it. So, I mean, come on, why would they get rid of that? There's no way they're going to get rid of that. So all the racism, all the misogyny, all of that, they'll take it. They'll take it because in their minds, it's worth it because we have a guy who's going to rubber stamp anything we put in front of him, and that's gold. And if you've been paying attention, they've been rolling back a lot of policies. It seems almost the policy of this administration is anything Obama did, get rid of it. Whether it's good or bad, get rid of it. And I was watching a news program a little while ago, and they were talking about some of the things he was taking away, this administration. They were talking about a lot of civil liberties that they're getting rid of. They're talking about like Betsy DeVos, she's running education, a lot of things that she's just not doing. And they were taking the view that it was racially motivated. That, a lot of these things that they're not doing protect, civil rights, i.e., rights of brown and black people, and that's the reason they're not doing it. And I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But I'm also here to tell you that if you know anything about Republicans or conservatives do believe in limited government. They do believe in smaller government. I'm going to tell you, I've had conversations with some Republicans who think the government should just be 2, 3, 4 people in a room and that's it. Now I'm going to tell you, is the government too big? They say there's 2 million people working for the government. I think that's too many. I hear that. Do we need to rein in government spending? Of course we do. But you don't just, get rid of some of these programs. You tweak them. You change them. Maybe you reduce the staff that's on them. But you don't just get rid of them or have inaction. But a lot of Republicans, they see that and they would say, good, that's him limiting government. That's him getting rid of some of the wasteful spending going on in Washington, draining the swamp. Get out of here. He's the swamp monster. He's not going to drain the swamp. He's just going to wallow in the dirt and get fat off of it like he's been doing. So there's some of that. So is some of that racially motivated? Sure it is. But some of it is just because Republicans feel that there should not be a government or there shouldn't be a lot of government or hardly any government. And they're saying it's all this wasteful spending. But my thing is, okay, if we're not going to spend it on the government or on these programs, what are we going to spend it on? Do they just want to limit the government so they can line their pockets with cash? That's what it seems like. Look, I'm going to leave that right there, and we're going to move on to a guy who I've been hearing about here and there. You may not even know this guy, Andrew Yang. Heard that name? I hadn't either until a little while ago. I was listening to the Breakfast Club. It's a radio program that comes on, and they always have presidential candidates and stuff on there. People are gonna throw their hat in the ring, and he was on there. I never heard his name before, and even one of the guys on there, he calls himself Charlemagne the God. He said to him, he said, "Well, there's no way you're gonna win. No one knows who you are. No one's ever heard of you." And he said, "Yeah, no one's ever heard of me." He said, "But I raised $600,000 in a day or two." And he said the only other candidate that raised more than him was Bernie Sanders. And he said, "What's that about?" Well, what's that about is people are hungry for change, and they like some of the stuff that this guy's talking about. He was talking about giving every American $1,000. I think $1,000 a year. It's a program that they do in Alaska, and what that is dividends that everybody in Alaska gets from the oil sales. There was a lady I worked with, and she used to live in Alaska, and she moved here, years ago to start working where we're working. And she told me that was one of the hardest things about leaving Alaska, because they get that, and this is on top of taxes. You might file your taxes or whatever, but they get these dividends, from the oil sales. So that could be like $1,000, $2,000 extra dollars that you get once a year. And this guy's talking about giving that to all Americans. Trying to do a little bit of this socialism, a little redistribution of the wealth. $1,000, that's not a whole lot of money, but it's something. And if somebody gave me $1,000 right now, that would really help. So stuff like that. That's I like that. That's a different way to look at things. That could definitely help. I think that would definitely boost the economy. So that guy's saying some good things. Once again, like I said, I've never heard of him. He doesn't have the name recognition of a Bernie Sanders or a Kamala Harris or any of those. But I'd also read an article that said the next president is going to be somebody we don't know. It's going to be somebody who falls out the sky and kind of sets the world on fire. If I remember correctly, you know who else did that? Barack Hussein Obama. I remember the first time I heard the name Barack Hussein Obama, I said, "Who is that? And how does he think he's going to be president? His middle name is Hussein." And look how wrong I was. He was president, and he was a great one. So there it is. This guy, and this guy's an Asian American. Wowzers, we never had an Asian president. So that's a good contender right there. And threw his hat in the ring. He's got some good ideas. I'm gonna leave that right there. Let's move on. Keep on going. We're gonna talk about one of my favorite artists. Everybody knows me. I love music. Music and politics are my two passions. This is a guy, man. My goodness. Robert Kelly. I love R. Kelly. I really do. Let me state that first. I love R. Kelly. That is my brother. I love him. With that said, he's got some problems. Now, this interview with Gail, I wish that he had been a little more forthcoming like he was the first interview he did years ago on BET, where he said he had a problem. That's what needs to happen. Mr. Kelly needs to just go ahead and be honest with America. Hey, look, I got a problem. I do like young women. I'm going to go somewhere and get that taken care of. I'm going to go talk to somebody and see if I can change these ways of mine. If he had did that, guess what? You know what? Everybody likes a good apology. Just go ahead and say you're sorry. We know you're human. We know you got flaws. Maybe it's a problem you got. Go ahead and say you're sorry. Then number two, you could still be selling music. People would feel okay about buying your music if you were being honest with them. But when you go there and you have an interview with Gail and you're yelling and a lot of people were like, you can't laugh at it and make light of it. I have to laugh at it. It was funny. The situation's not funny, but the way he was handling it with all that emotion, that was hilarious. He's talking about somebody comes and I hold time. I don't know how to hold time nobody. Come on, man. It sounded like he was singing another song or something. I couldn't believe. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids. Kels, that is not the way you handle that. That was just too much. And the way Gail was just, Robert, I'm going to tell you, she was very poised. She kept her composure the whole time. She didn't get sucked into his emotion. I think that's what he was trying to do. Trying to, get people sucked into his emotion and feeling sorry for him. That's not going to happen. And like I've gone on record on this show saying before, I could see both sides of it. I saw the interview with the two young ladies who are living with R. Kelly, and they said that he's a great guy and that they're not, being held, they're not under duress, and that there's nothing wrong with them. I saw an episode of Megyn Kelly before she got taken off the air for saying blackface is okay. There's that. But before that happened, she had an interview with one of the young ladies who used to live in his home, and a couple of the young ladies, and the one young lady said that she didn't want to leave his house. She said that everything was fine or whatnot. But then there's other women who are talking about being locked in a room and having to pee in a bucket or having to ask the guards when they could go to the bathroom, stuff like that. So it just doesn't look good. Really, he just needs to, come clean and be honest. Be honest with America and just ask for forgiveness. I don't understand sometimes why it's so hard for people to just humble themselves and say, hey, look, I messed up. I made a mistake. I need help. I'm going to go seek out that help. While I'm seeking that help out, give me your support. Please don't ostracize me or be mad at me. I'm coming clean. How about you give me some love and give me some support and help me get over this thing? But no, people look sometimes, they want to get like him and get on a high horse or whatever. 30 years I done gave it. Come on, man. Nobody wants to hear that. For 30 years, you've been gallivanting around, making good music, yeah, but also not treating ladies too nice either. So you got to answer for that, Mr. Kells, and we'll see how he answers for it. And then ain't that something? How you like that? So the guy's in jail. He gets bailed out by some lady who's a daycare owner. They say that money was his that he had given her, whatever. He gets bailed out just to turn around and be back in jail behind child support. Now, people were tripping off of that. They're like, how could this guy be making all the money he's been making for years in music, but then doesn't have $160,000 in child support? I'll tell you, money is easy to spend. It's easy to spend. A friend of mine was real close with Allen Iverson. And he was in Allen Iverson's inner circle. He grew up with the guy, and this guy knows who I am. So if he ever heard this story, it'd be cool. I'm not gonna say his name, but he told me because we were working at a school. This guy's a teacher, and he had he had left the teacher job at the school to go work with Allen Iverson. And then, after about a year, maybe and some change, he came back. And I said, well, what happened with that? And he said, one day, Allen's wife came in and said, look, we're missing $15 million. $15 million, said it's missing. I can't find it. He said he fired everybody, him and some other guys who, knew Allen Iverson or whatever, but it was what it was. Wife said they missing $15 million. Now, is that a true story? Heck, it's probably even more money than that. I believe that happens because when you got money like that, it's real hard to hold on to it. You got different people handling your money. What did he say? That he hadn't been to a bank in 3 years or something like that, and just popped up and went to a bank and had $350,000. You would still think he had more money than that, But it's like that, You're making that type of money, it get popped in there. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so $161,000 in child support. My goodness, that is a lot of money. And why has he not been paying this child support? I understand brothers don't want to pay child support because they're bitter, but in the end of the day, it just hurts you. I mean, did you think that debt was going to go away or something like that? Or are you going to say, oh, well, that's Kells. We're going to let that go because that ignition remix is off the chain. Get out of here, man. You got to pay your bills. So he should have been doing that. As we see, rich people don't like to pay their bills either sometimes. So now he's in jail for that. We'll see what happens there. People have been saying, oh, he's got rich friends. Somebody else will bail him out. I don't know. They said a lot of people are now distancing themselves from R. Kelly. Should you play his music? Should you not play his music? That goes to you. Yeah. Okay. Also, he walked out of jail after paying. Okay, so he did pay it. Excuse me, I stand corrected. $161,000. He paid it. Okay, so he's got the money. He has the money. That's good to hear. He's got some money and was able to pay that child support and was able to get out of jail. Now he's got to handle this other stuff that he's got going on. And I don't know what's going to, that's kind of playing out like the Bill Cosby thing. There's all these women, got all these stories. That's going to be a mess. That's going to be something for him to figure out. Moving on, because, this show is about politics, and I'm getting back into the political thing. Let's talk about Mr. Sanders, Bernie Sanders. Are you feeling the burn? I know I am. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of candidates who have thrown their hat in the ring who I like a lot. He's won because he pulled the Democratic Party so far to the left. I can remember years ago when socialist was a dirty word, and I had years ago I had a conversation with a woman, an older white woman, and she's very, very conservative, staunch conservative. And I told her, I said, I said words like communism, socialism. I said those aren't dirty words, especially socialism. That's not a dirty word to me. A redistribution of the wealth, I think we need that around here. She almost fainted when I said that because a lot of them have grown up being told, socialism evil, socialism bad, bad, bad. But not such a bad thing. And then we actually do have socialism around here. We do have the government that pays for things. That's socialism. We do redistribute the wealth. That's what we do with our tax dollars. We pay for infrastructure, stuff like that. That's socialism. So some of these other concepts, the $15 minimum wage, That was Bernie Sanders. Nobody was talking about that until he started running for president, and now it's commonplace. Now a couple of places have done it. I was just reading how we're about to do it here in Ohio. They want to raise the minimum wage to $15. And then there was a guy on the internet who said, look, we need to stop pretending that an $8, $9 minimum wage is something that people can live off of, because you know they can. That's the truth. You can't live off of $9 an hour. You can't live off of $12 an hour. It's hard to live off of $13 an hour. $15 an hour is about as low as you can go. Believe me, I know. And that's where we need to at least be starting at 15. So thank Bernie for that. That was him. You got people talking about that. Free college. You ain't never in your life heard of the concept of free college here in America. I've never. Now, when I talk to some of my foreign brothers and sisters from different countries, Africa and other different countries, they always tell me, oh, college is free. And I'm like, what? College is free. In my country, if you want the knowledge, you go to this building and you get it. And they said, and a lot of our professors there, they came, here to your America, got an education and then went back there to be professors and teachers, and you go and get it for free. Why is that not going on here? But I'm going to tell you, there are some people who have a vested interest in making sure that we have an uneducated public. Because if most people are uneducated, so that means most people are not too smart and don't really know what's going on, that's good. You can feed them lies like fake news and tell them whatever you want to tell them, and they're going to soak it up and love it. And there's a lot of people who want that. They don't want more people voting. They want less people voting. So there you get some of that. But Bernie Sanders, he's got people turned onto the idea that, free college, that's huge. I can't remember what state it was, but I think they have 2-year free universities. You can at least get an associate degree for free. That's huge. That needs to be going on. Bernie Sanders, he scares some people. He scares some Democrats. Now ask yourself why Bernie Sanders he's independent. In Congress there are 2 independents. It's him and there's another guy. I think Steve King. Don't quote me on that. But those 2 guys, they're the only independents in Congress. Everybody else is a Republican or a Democrat. Why is it that he has to caucus with either the Republicans or the Democrats? He caucuses with the Democrats, of course, because a lot of his policies align more with theirs. But why does it have to be that way? Because we have 2 parties in this country that make sure that no other parties can get up to that level or even have a fighting chance. There's a Green Party. Remember that? People talked about Jill Stein, and her running mate was a brother. I can't remember his name. But she didn't have a chance in hell of winning, and everybody knows that. A third-party candidate has never won in this country, never will, as long as you have Republicans and Democrats making sure that they squeeze and there's no room for anyone else except those 2. What scares a lot of Democrats is that, okay, they're like, Bernie's caucusing with us, but as soon as he gets in there, he's an independent. He's not going to be a Democrat anymore. So some of these Democratic policies he might shed and start coming with his own, stuff, some socialist stuff, because he's more of a socialist than a Democrat, So we'll see what happens. Like I said, they're afraid of him. He's got the youth. Most young people I talk to, that's who they're into. Bernie Sanders. That's the name that comes out their mouth. And it's funny because here we got this guy's 70 and some change. They said when and if he wins the presidency, he'll be the oldest president we've ever had. And we got an old president now. We've always had old presidents. I'm not worried about that. I just hope that he don't die or anything in office before he can get some stuff done around here. But he scares people. Rightfully, he should. He's got a lot of bold, progressive ideas. A lot of his ideas are what are currently fueling the Democratic Party. So I'm sure that, when he gets in this race, he's just going to keep going further to the left. Because a lot of this stuff on the left is gaining momentum, and people are loving to hear about it. There's a Green New Deal now. Within that Green New Deal, they're talking about guaranteed work. Me and a conservative friend of mine have been talking about this for years. That's jobs from the government. We got all these states with all this crumbling infrastructure. We need to be paying people to fix those bridges, fix those roads. These will be government jobs. They'll be good paying jobs. They'll be secure jobs because they'll be government jobs. And that's how you get the economy going. That's how you get people back to work. That's a no-brainer. That's an easy thing, and that's a part of the Green New Deal. We need that. We need a Green New Deal because they said in 12 years, we'll be too far gone. In 12 years, they said that there'll be no coming back from the catastrophe that global warming has created. And that's bad to hear. I mean, in 12 years, my son will be 13. And I don't want him to inherit a world with dirty air and dirty water. So we need to get on these things. And I'm glad that, of course, Bernie, he keeps it to the left. And he's throwing his hat in the ring, and we're going to get some good stuff out of that guy. Am I voting for him? Nah, it's too early to say. I'm not. I can't tell you anybody I'm voting for now. I just like to look at everybody's policies. I can't wait to see the debate. What is that going to look like? There's already 22 plus people running on the Democratic side. So are all of them going to be on one stage at the same time? They can't do that. They're going to have to break that up some kind of way. So we'll see what happens with that. But I cannot wait to see Elizabeth Warren debate against Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden, stuff like that. That's going to be real interesting. So with that, once again, we come to the end of another Urban Politics. I want to thank everybody out there for watching. Please drop me a line. Once again, you are in the pushback zone. Anything I said that you agree with, drop me a line. Let me know you agree with it. If you don't agree with it, please push back. I live for pushback. Push back and let me know why I'm wrong and I don't even know what I'm talking about. And here's why you're right and I need to change my opinion. I love that type of stuff. So, get up with Urban Politics. I'll see you around like a donut.